Hey there, Chef D Malfi here, and welcome to Plant-Based Made Easy. I'm back in the studio. Today is a Testimony Tuesday, and if you've never been with us before, I want you to know that we're doing things here a little differently every week. On Tuesdays, I bring a guest into the studio with me, streaming, of course, and we are going to talk about why this guest went plant-based. And I love these Tuesdays because it's really an opportunity to hear from people, to hear people's plant-based testimonies. So what is that? You might be curious about, thinking like, well, why do we want to hear from people? Well, why not just like cook? Well, I want you guys to get inspired about, the plant-based stories that people are living and experiencing in their own lives, because I know that that is the reason why I started this community. So I want to inspire you to feel good and feel fueled, using other people's stories as the way to propel you forward. So I want to welcome you. If this is the first time you're watching Plant-Based Made Easy, welcome. If you are someone that watches all the time, thank you so much for your support. And thank you for being here again for another Testimony Tuesday. Today we have someone really special in the studio with me. I have Mr. Greg Scott, vegan life coach, with me on the line. And he actually volunteered to come on very last minute. And he is really inspired by living plant-based and teaching other people how to do the same. So he has a really cool story to tell. And I actually don't know much about his story yet. So it's going to be new for me and new for you. We're all going to be learning it together. So without further ado, please help me welcome the amazing Greg Scott. Greg, thank you for coming on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Chef. Good to be here. Glad to have you in my living room today.
Yeah. Am I in your, so I'm in your living room, or is this your study in the back? You have a lot of books. I love this.
Yeah, it's kind of the study section of the living room. Yeah.
It's really beautiful. So Greg, where do you live?
We live in Waikoloa, Hawaii. We've been here about 7 years now.
Oh my gosh. Lucky life. Lucky life. I've been wanting to get out to Hawaii because it is one of the places that I've been dreaming about during COVID. So I'm glad that you're there. I'm, living vicariously through you in this moment.
Hey, good. I'm glad.
Well, it's good to have you on the show. I wanted to bring you on today because A, you volunteered, but B, because you have a really cool story. You are not just a vegan and a plant-based liver and eater and lover, but you are a vegan coach. You actually help people to love and live this lifestyle. And so I want to get us kicked off really quickly with just orienting our listeners and our viewers with who you are and the work that you do. Do you have a little elevator pitch that you can give? Like, what are you about?
Sure. We go all the way back to the 90s when I first started to learn about plant-based living. I actually read a book by John Robbins called May All Be Fed. And that was my first kind of wake-up call to what plant-based living was all about for both health and environment and animals and all those things. But we lived in a little small town in Kentucky at the time, and there were really nobody else around me that understood what I was excited about suddenly. There was no chefs out there to teach us good plant-based food. We just had to eat some raw stuff. We didn't know how to make any sauces or anything. So it didn't really stick with us for very long. We went back to the old style of eating. And it wasn't until, to be honest, just 2 years ago is when it sort of reawakened within me. I got to do something about this. I can't keep eating this way. And so then we read a book by Dr. Greger called How Not to Die. And that was the final sort of light bulb moment that we needed. And that's when we started making sweeping lifestyle changes at that point and went 100% plant-based. The day I finished reading the book, we made that decision in our home. So I lost 175 pounds in the first year. Watched my cholesterol plummet. We were diabetic. My wife and I were both diabetic. We're no longer diabetic. We're no longer high cholesterol. Just every one of those kind of bad blood markers changed even within the first 4 or 5 months. We were much, much healthier. And then it started that way as a health thing. But then as we learned more about the damage we were doing to the environment and the damage we were doing to animal life, that became an even stronger motivation for us to stick with this as a lifelong decision. And then we, of course, wanted to educate other people and help them learn what we had learned and see if we could help them make the same journey.
It's so beautiful, Greg. I'm really touched by this. I love that it was really a personal decision for you initially, like a call on your heart that was set upon your heart, that you listened to, that you answered the call. And here you are. And now you're inspiring others in perhaps the same call that they may be feeling inside of their cells and in their hearts and in their homes. So I love that. That gives me chills. Thank you for sharing. I want to dive a little deeper with you. And before I do, I want to introduce what we're going to be making, because I'm going to make you a lunch. Now, this is going to be a remote lunch. You won't actually get to eat it, but I want you to get a feel for some of my cooking. And for those of you who are joining us, that I want to tell you that you can get this recipe straight out of my Plant-Based Made Easy Cookbook. And I'll show you, oopsie, wrong one. It comes out of this cookbook. This is the cookbook we're working out of. You guys, Plant-Based Made Easy, issue number 9. Now, I'm showing you all of my cookbooks because this is going to be a wonderful resource for you. The reason I do Plant-Based Made Easy, this show, is because I want you guys to feel inspired to then watch these recipes and then pick up any issue or all of the issues of my cookbooks. And this can be a resource for you. This can be a month-long resource for you. It is going to give you recipes to get you through the month, eating breakfasts, lunches, dinners, snacks, sweets, and even staple recipes. Those are things like plant-based cheese, plant-based yogurt, plant-based bread. All of these are really important because we can not only help ourselves individually, but once we do that, we then to start help ourselves as a collective, as a community. And that can be either the people that you're sharing your food with or the people that you're sharing this information with. So please check out these resources. And today, I'm going to be making a wonderful lunch recipe out of issue number 9, a cauliflower and chickpea salad. It's so yummy and really, really simple to do. How does that sound for you, Greg? Would you eat a cauliflower chickpea salad?
Sounds great. I'm going to take notes.
Okay, awesome. All right, cool. So this is the recipe that we're working out of today, you guys. Right here, you can see that I color coordinate my recipe. So if it's orange, it means it's a lunch recipe, and it's going to be really delicious and very easy to put together. So I'm just going to put this in front of me. You guys, I'm going to do an overhead and a front view cam. And I'm going to be coming back and forth between so that you can actually see what I'm doing on the board. All right. So Greg, I'll put you to the side of me. We'll put the overhead right in the middle. So let's introduce the ingredients. First things first, we need some cauliflower, right? Cauliflower is going to be the staple of this salad. It's really delicious. Now, I like to pre-prep my cauliflower, and this is just a container of raw cauliflower florets. I get a big head once a week, either any cruciferous vegetable. So I either do Brussels sprouts, broccoli, or cauliflower, and I will make them into little florets. I just cut them in pieces. I don't even wash it. I wait until I'm ready to cook it before I wash it, right? So they're dry, ready to go florets, ready for my cooking. Now, yesterday, you guys on the show, we talked about meal prepping on Meal Prepping Monday. I wanted to get you motivated for meal prepping throughout the week. So this is a little bit of what I did yesterday, just as a carryover from yesterday's show. Now, this is going to save us time for this recipe. So I take this cauliflower, and what I'm going to do is put it in the oven. Now, I'm going to just bake it off in the oven. I want 425 degrees on a lined baking sheet. And I want to bake it off with any of your favorite seasonings, salt, pepper, a little olive oil. Maybe you want to throw on top some buffalo sauce. Maybe you want to throw on some, it doesn't really matter. It could be some balsamic vinaigrette, and just cook it up, roast it off until you have nice and golden brown and delicious. Now, this is what mine looks like, really just golden brown and delicious, crispy on the edges, yummy, yummy, right? This is going to be the perfect kind of the meatiness of our salad. Really going to be great. So that's our cauliflower. And then the next thing that we need are our beans. Now, I, believe it or not, couldn't find chickpeas. So today I'm going to use white kidney beans. Now, these are white kidney beans. They look just like regular kidney beans. Instead of them being red skinned, they're white. But they have very similar nutritional value to chickpeas. So you can use any kind of chickpea or bean that you want. Lentils would work as well. Just make sure that whatever you use, drain and rinse your can first, and that's going to remove 30% of the sodium. So I'm going to put those aside. And then I'm going to use some Little Gem lettuces. All of the produce today comes from Melissa's Produce. Thank you so much, Melissa's. And look at this Little Gem. It's just beautiful, right? I mean, it's begging for a delicious salad dressing and some ingredients to go on top. So I'm going to chop that up really nice. And then I'm going to use some cucumber, some mini cucumber, also known as Persian cucumbers here. I love these. These are really delicious and perfect for our salad. I like to store these. Here's another meal prep trick. Store them wrapped in a paper towel, just like this. And this is going to stay in the refrigerator. You can put it in a little bag, like a stasher bag. It's going to stay really great for about a week in your refrigerator without getting slimy. And the paper towel is going to absorb everything. So this is what we're going to use. Now, one of the best ways of making salad, I think, is get your favorite salad bowl. Greg, do you have a favorite salad bowl? Do you guys use one big salad bowl that you use all the time? I find that sometimes vegans do this.
Yeah, we're talking about the meal prep thing. That's kind of the way we've done this. We figured out a meal plan that has 6 soups. We do one every night of the week. We do 6 cold salads, bean salads with quinoa or some other grain, and then a big green salad with fruits and vegetables, and then we dump it all together. So we actually just use kind of the same bowl every day.
Yeah, totally. I love it. That's what I do too. And really, it reminds us to eat our greens. It reminds us to eat our salads, either the grain bowls or salad bowls, whatever. But get yourself a nice salad bowl that you'll use again and again. Because I'm telling you, it's that conscious awareness. Like, oh, I'm looking at my salad bowl. Time for some delicious, lunch or dinner or whatever in the salad bowl. So I'm going to just throw things together. Really simple. I have some little gems. I've already washed these and cleaned them up. I'm also sliced them up into small sliced chopped pieces, whatever you want. And I let them dry inside of a bowl with a paper towel. I'm going to show you that. There we go. And I do this so that I can just save time. It will drip dry as we're talking. So this has been sitting for about 5 minutes and it's nice and dry. It looks great. To this, I'm going to add some delicious beans here. And I'm going to, I can season this up if I want. So I'm going to season up my beans right now, just really simply. Because I've already kind of cooked off my cauliflower, I'm going to use my seasonings on my beans. So you can do this one of two ways. You can season your cauliflower or your beans. So, oops, my little earbud fell out. Excuse me. I'm going to grab my extra virgin olive oil. Now I use extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Avocado oil is here, it's lighter. EVOO is here, it's darker. If you're whole food plant-based though, you can just skip the oil altogether. But I'm going to use just a little bit of this. And because the beans are really bland, we're going to dress them up right now. We're going to make them really nice. Next thing I'm going to want to use is a little chili powder. This is a chili spice blend. I get this from Trader Joe's, but you can use any chili powder. I recommend chipotle chili powder if you can find it because it's going to give you a nice smokiness. And then smoked paprika, which I really, really like. This is really going to give you a nice smokiness. And this is a staple in my plant-based and vegan kitchen because once I went plant-based 1 year ago, I really missed kind of the smoky flavors, things like bacon, things like smoked meat, things like smoked salmon, right? These are flavors that I really miss. And being a chef for 10 years prior to going plant-based and a classically French trained chef at, not just any chef, but like really knowing French classic techniques and smoking being one of the elements, the real elements of cooking, I miss that flavor profile. So I want to bring it back with my spices and I'm going to accentuate the smokiness with a little salt. I don't need any pepper today because I've used all that chili powder, so I don't want it to be too spicy. And that's it. I'm going to give this a mix. Okay, Greg, so far so good, right? I mean, this is delicious and you can use this on anything. Right? I know it. I know you would. All right, I'm going to pour this in right over my greens. I think I'll just use half because I don't need too many beans on my greens. And I'm going to stop here and I'm going to continue to chop up some other ingredients while we talk. So I'm going to chop up my Persian cucumber and I'm going to chop up a Hass avocado, the ultimate fruit, right? I live in California and right now it is California avocado season. So look at this gorgeous Hass avocado. I'm going to get that going. And while I do, Greg, I want to ask you to really kind of dive in a little bit more with me, will you? You talked about you losing over 100 pounds. You also talked about the fact that you and your wife were on the diabetic range and no longer are in that issue with blood glucose levels. Beyond those things, and those are really huge, can you tell us more about that story and other noticings that you became aware of once you went plant-based that were physiological changes and emotional and spiritual changes? Dive into that with me. Help me understand, what was that process of transformation like?
Sure. Just a big difference in energy right away, not feeling just bloated and tired all the time. So much so that we were able to really start a fitness program of walking. Didn't do a whole lot more than walking, but we got to where we walked 25,000 steps a day on average.
Wow. Oh, wonderful.
Miles a day. And that was a big part of the weight loss too, of course, but just the fact that we wouldn't have been able to walk. There was a time in my life where walking across the living room would wind me and I would have to sit down for a minute just after walking 20 or 30 feet. Now I walk 12 miles a day. So that's crazy, the difference that makes. So different. Skin changes. I had really dry skin. I don't have dry skin anymore. I attribute that 100% to the plant-based living. And then sleeping better, much better quality sleep, lot more water intake was another part of that too. I've really become a huge proponent of hydration. I think 99% of the time when we think we're hungry, we're actually just thirsty. And if we would take a drink of water, we don't feel hungry anymore. Our body's trying to tell us you're not putting healthy things into me, so I'm not going to act healthy back to you.
Yep. Yeah. These are huge. These are huge. Walking, that's movement. And what that can look like for different people is maybe it's running, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's stand-up paddleboard, maybe it's swimming, whatever. It's like you found your own movement style for you guys that worked. So that is really great. And then I love that you brought up hydration, like not something that I would typically think about, but of course, if you're trying to lose weight, you're maybe really kind of used to habitually needing something to eat, but really maybe you can replace that with just hydrating and fueling yourself with water. Were you fueling with just water, or were you doing smoothies and juices and things like that as well?
Yeah, most of the fruit we eat is just whole fruit. We don't typically do smoothies much or juicing. Our morning meal is a bowl of lentils and grains, and then different fruits mixed in depending on what's in season. So we get fruit that way, and we get a lot of fruit in our salad every day too. So we're big fruit eaters, but we don't typically do smoothies because we're just we like to have that sensation of crunching and chewing. Helps me not feel as hungry too. So. Yeah.
I love it. All right, cool. So whole food fruit eaters, that's great. I'm going to call you fruity. That's awesome. So cool. All right. Well, this is really, really great. I love to hear of these changes, because these are really big. These are small things that can create big changes for people in their lives. And you are a testimony of that. So that's really cool. I'm gonna pause a second because I want to make you a salad dressing now, and I'll come back to this overhead. Now, this salad dressing is really easy. Watch, super duper simple. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Greg, are you guys whole food plant-based? So do you do oil, salt, and sugar in your home?
Yeah, we're whole food plant-based.
So no oil? No
oil. Every once in a while, if something's got oil in it, we don't say, oh, I won't eat it, but we just don't typically cook with it ourselves.
Yep. Okay, good to know. So you guys, listen, Greg's whole food plant-based, and so am I part of the time, not all the time. I try to make my recipes, some of them are whole food plant-based and some of them are regular eating with oil, salt, and sugar. Now, the cool thing is you can adapt your lifestyle to meet the needs of whatever recipe you're making. So if you wanted to make this recipe whole food plant-based, this dressing in particular is very easy to make whole food plant-based. All you have to do, you guys, is swap out the oil for cold filtered water or extra citrus juice. Now, I really like citrus. I can use a combination of citrus in my recipes. Orange juice, grapefruit juice, lemon juice, lime juice. It all is gravy. It works. I'm telling you. So know that if you are going to replace your oil with citrus, it's going to be a little bit more tangy. But who doesn't want something a little bit more tangy? You can counteract the tanginess with another ingredient, which I'll talk about right now. And that ingredient is going to be some sort of sweetener. Now, I'm going to use Blue Weber agave syrup. This is a low processed syrup, comes right from the agave plant. If you're a raw whole food plant-based eater, you might consider maple syrup, okay? Whatever you want, both are going to be really great, but this is going to cut the acidity. And you can see I'm not making a whole lot of this dressing, just a little bit to coat, literally lightly coat these greens and beans right here. It's not going to take much. Now, of course, I need a little S&P because that's going to accentuate the flavors of the citrus. It's also going to accentuate the flavors of the beans, the greens, and the cauliflower. So freshly ground black pepper on the grind. I never actually use pre-ground pepper. I think that it takes away from the delicious floral flavor profile of that black cracked pepper. So that's what I use. And then I'm going to use one other ingredient to kind of bring it in. Sorry, two other ingredients. A little raw apple cider vinegar. Now, Greg, I know you're familiar with this, right? Apple cider vinegar is like a staple in the plant-based vegan kitchen. For those of you who might not be, I just want to show you on the bottom of the bottle. I'm going to turn it around. Right here, you're going to see the mother. Do you guys see this like organism floating around? Let me capture the mother. There she is. You see her right there. That is wonderful. That is going to be the living organism that is shared from bottle to bottle to bottle. That's what makes vinegar vinegar. That's what actually it makes this a probiotic rich food. So I'm going to actually get a little bit of this mother in every single drop. How do I do that? I shake it up and then I use it. Okay. Really important. And did you know you can use apple cider vinegar, ACV, for cleaning your house? You can even use it for conditioner. I don't know if you've tried this, Greg. You don't look like you use conditioner, but if you did, you could use apple cider vinegar and it would be really great. I actually have tried it and it's interesting. It totally works. And then the last ingredient is a little Dijon vinegar. Now I like the Dijon because this is going to emulsify it. And that is a fancy word for just making a dressing creamy without any cream whatsoever. So it's just the wonderful ingredient inside of mustard that's called soy lecithin that is naturally occurring, that is going to grip to the oil and acid molecules. And what it does, instead of removing these molecules and keeping them separate like a negative positive charge on a battery, it brings them together. So it literally, that soy lecithin is like the glue that brings everything together, and it emulsifies the dressing. And this is a perfectly delicious, easy, simple emulsified dressing. And it took less than a minute, right? If I just wouldn't stop yapping. But simple, so easy. So, all right. So I'm coming back to the salad. And while I do, Greg, okay, here's a question for you. Now, you mentioned that you are a pastor. Before you became a vegan coach, you're a pastor. So this is really fascinating to me. I want to know, did you, before going plant-based, vegan and plant-based, what were your thoughts on, this lifestyle? Did you think about, part of your faith being in line with how you eat? Was that ever part of your thought process before you made the transition? And then what did it feel like once you made that transition? How has your relationship or your faith shifted now that you are plant-based? Will you speak to that?
Yeah, sure. You go back to Genesis and you see that human beings are supposed to be stewards of the earth. We're supposed to take care of it. It's not to subjugate it, to beat it down and make it serve us. We're supposed to be serving the rest of creation. We're the pinnacle of all that that's supposed to be taking care of it. So I think when we look at our factory farming situation and our crazy fishing practices, that's not being good stewards of the earth. We're really taking advantage of it and doing tremendous harm. So that was a big wake-up call for me too, to feel like, I'm a spiritual leader. I need to lead people in spiritual decisions of how to take care of the rest of creation along the way. So I've tried to incorporate that as often as I can. And of course, that's difficult because there's a lot of very strong feelings about food, and especially meat eating and not meat eating. And so I have to be cautious and careful and not push people too hard, but just sort of try to help them by asking questions. I ask a lot of open-ended questions to help people maybe think for themselves. Maybe this isn't the best way for us to take care of the earth. Maybe there's a better way to do it. And I talk a lot about, the garden, our great garden beginning, Adam and Eve in a garden. All they ate was fruit. Everything was fruit trees. God said, you eat anything you want of all the trees in the garden. Well, we know what grows on trees, fruit. So our original ancestors were frutivores. We've really fallen far from that original beginning in most of our world today.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's an interesting topic, right? Food, because it's one of these things where it is such a charged topic, and you wouldn't think that it would be, because it's neutral. We all can relate to it, but because it's neutral, it's one of these things that people are very polarized about, because it seems like it's a safe topic to broach, to actually engage in, and so people have a lot of strong opinions about it. And I love that the way that you handle this is open-ended questions. It sounds like you really get curious with your clients and people that you care about, and I think that is an act of love. So, amen. That's beautiful.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, that's what's intended behind it. Is this helped me, and I want to help you the same way that I've been helped. And I've seen a big difference that helped our environment too, that I want you to be a part of. And so every once in a while, I can get a friend that gets really curious, and we usually invite them over for dinner. We cook them something that's totally 100% plant-based, and they go, "This is fantastic. I can't believe how good this is." And they think all it is eating raw lettuce and kale. That's what they think of vegan is. So we have to educate people. So I'm thankful for you, because you make very delicious things to prove my point to people.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's literally my pleasure. I love to do it. And it's same. I love to invite people into the conversation with the power of our plate, with flavors, right? Let the food speak for itself, and then the rest is much easier. And it's really easy to do with fresh ingredients like the ones that I'm using today. And I'm just going to finish off this fresh salad with some more fresh ingredients. How about some green herbs, right? Nothing says more living, more alive than these gorgeous plants. All right. So I have some parsley here. I have some fresh dill here. And I also have some chives. Now I'm going to use all of these in my salad because I can. And I'm telling you, the more green we can add to our diet, may it be green leafy vegetables, cucumbers, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and kale and Swiss chard and cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and even peas and beans, all of these green foods. That is where you're going to get a lot of these like living elements, the living micro and macronutrients that are in our food, just begging us to eat them. All right. And I love that you brought up the garden, right? Where we all, how the story of Genesis began. And, I don't know for me personally, if that was actually true, if that actually happened, and that's not neither here nor there. The point of it is it's the symbol, the story and the symbol of that story is really that we came from, vulnerable, and in our naked flesh, eating and curious, eating and picking the fruit from the trees, so the plant foods. And I think that that's a really kind of beautiful symbol of it. And you can take so much more from that moment and that beautiful symbol of the story. But I love to think about it in terms of plant-based living and sort of the vulnerability that comes with making this commitment, and the vulnerability that comes with standing in our decisions about how we're going to stay healthy and commit to this lifestyle. So it feels all resonant to me. Wouldn't you say, Greg? It feels like it's all related.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to chop this up. And, Greg, here's a question. What do you do when things get a little heated in arguments with people that you love or you care about? Like, how do you work with, conversations where people feel that they feel like you're pushing them into a lifestyle or commitment? Has that ever happened to you, and how have you dealt with that?
Sure. Yeah. I think, I've got a saying that you can either be right or you can be in relationship. And sometimes you can't have both of those things. So sometimes when you realize I pushed this as far as I can today, it's time for me to just sort of back off and let them share their truth too, because they might have points that I've never considered. So if I'm going to want them to listen to my point of view, I have to be willing to listen to their point of view, even if I've already decided a year ago their point of view is stupid. It doesn't matter. I have to show that. I have to say, and I have to give you the same respect that I'm asking you to give me as I share my experience with you. So that's what my guiding principle is if it looks like it's starting to harm the relationship, it's time to not worry about being right and make sure I stay connected, because maybe I have a chance a week from now or a month from now to rejoin the conversation. But if I push you too hard, maybe we break off the friendship completely and I don't have a chance to influence you later.
That's so beautiful. So it's all about keeping the relationship healthy and vibrant. It sounds like you're saying you can either be right or you can have a right relationship. That's right. Beautiful. And I love what you're saying here, because ultimately it's not about influencing people. It's staying in connection with people. And we just talked about it with the food, right? Like, we eat with our eyes first. We can showcase beautiful foods and recipes to our loved ones, and we can let the food speak for itself. The same thing can be applied to a relationship. We can let our connection in our relationships speak for themselves. And that is going to be more powerful than any influence will ever be on a relationship. So it's not about convincing or persuading. It's about staying in connection, because I'll guarantee that somebody that I might have a difference of opinion with is there to teach me something. That's the reason they're in front of me, right? So it's all aligned, and I think it's beautiful. Thank you for that awareness and that re-presencing me to that reminder. It's really a beautiful one. I love that. I needed to be reminded of that today.
Good.
Pastor Greg, you are it, man. You have it in your spirit. I can feel it, and I'm really I feel really inspired. But more than that, I feel encouraged by our conversation. Really, I do. And I thank you for bringing your authenticity to this conversation, and so kind of off the cuff and last minute, brother. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I feel the same about you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to just mix this up, and then I'm going to plate this up, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when it's finished. I'll take a little bite too, so you can actually I'll let you know. How does it taste? What are we tasting for? It's going to be really good. All right. So I just threw the cauliflower in here, the herbs, the cucumber, the little gems, everything. You can see how lightly dressed it is. It really is lightly dressed. I'm just going to show you here. See, it's not overly dressed, but it's just glistening. It's really delicious. I'm going to add it to my bowl. Now, you can actually do this as a composed salad. So you can actually have the beans and the cucumber and the cauliflower added after the little gems in the dressing, and you can kind of compose it in the bowl. But I like a tossed salad. I think the tossed salads are easier. Everything is kind of mixed together. It's a little bit more rustic, but it's delicious. And I'm going to just add a few pieces of cauliflower right to the top of my salad so that you can really kind of see what is in this. And of course, I can't forget that avocado. I'm going for it. I need a big spoon to get this out. Now, I like to take my avocado. I have it. And then what I do is I score it. So it's half scored. Do you see that? And all I'm going to do now is just take a large spoon or a medium-sized soup spoon. And I'm going to grab these pieces, grab it all the way to the bottom or the base, and then just pull it up and out. And what you end up with is this sort of very ripe avocado. Just this beautiful kind of delicious avocado that you can fan. You can make it look really pretty on your bowl. I'm going to just put it down. And yes, this is, you can use your fingers. You can make it however you want. Like, work with the food. You can add a little bit more of the herbs if you want. I think I'm going to go for just another piece of this cauliflower, just so I can really kind of make sure I can see what is in here. All right, this looks fantastic. If I wanted maybe a crack of black pepper, yes, I think it's done. You guys take a look at this. I'm going to show you in the overhead. How beautiful is that, right?
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Looks really yummy. Okay, I'm going to give this a little bite. Before I do, I'm going to give this food a little gratitude. Thank you, food. Thank you, God. Here we go. Dressing is on point. I can taste it. The agave, the Dijon, the herbs. You guys, this is a really good salad. You have to try this. Greg, I think you're going to try this in this week. I can tell. I can see that you're inspired. If you do try this recipe, let me know how it goes, okay? That goes for anyone that's watching. And you guys, take a photo of your salad. If you do make this, you can pop it in our Facebook group, Plant-Based Made Easy. And wherever you are, let's give a warm round of applause and a gratitude thank you to Greg Scott. Greg, thank you so, so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. And I think there's so much more that you can offer us. And so I want to invite you to come back. Would you be willing to do a part 2 Testimony Tuesday with us at some point?
Sure, love to do that. Thanks, Chef.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, you guys. Now I'm going to repost this. Please share this conversation between me and Greg wherever you want. If there's someone in your life that's looking for coaching, if there's someone in your life that's looking for meal planning, recipes, send them our way, you guys. This is really a wonderful way for me to promote Greg's work as well as my own. But most importantly, we are in service of you. And I mean that in the greatest sense of the word. I want to be here for you. I know Greg, our brother, does as well. So let us use us as your resource. Let us be your resource. If you have questions, you can type them in the comment box. This video will stay on the interwebs forever and ever. So we're always here for you guys. So have a wonderful rest of your day and your afternoon or your evening. And please come back for more. I'm going to be cooking up some more delicious recipes out of this cookbook this week, you guys. Thank you again. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.
All right. Aloha.
Bye.